Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Ask Show Adam
Steve.
show, and we are here today to talk to you about maybe the biggest movie of the summer. Do you think that this is going to be the highest grossing movie of the summer?
At this point, I would have to assume so. I'm not sure what else is really coming out at the moment, so I can't speculate too much, but at the moment, I think so, just because of how big Marvel is.
Oh, I was talking about Minions.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Minions. You're right. Yeah, it's definitely Minions. Minions is
Got
taking
you.
over.
Which one do you want to take on first?
Let's talk Minions first. I think that one's going to be a fairly quick discussion.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll do Minions, some news, and then we'll go into Thor. So, actually, I'll let you take this one first. I'll throw it to you. How'd you feel about Minions?
I went into it kind of not expecting a whole lot. I actually tweeted out, I never watched the first Minions actually, like the standalone. I watched all the Despicable Me stuff, but I actually forgot that Minions was a thing before this new one came out.
Mhm.
So I didn't have the lore, but I went into it anyway, and it was fun. I thought the kung fu stuff and how they kind of did the kung fu movie influence, how they edited it, the fighting and everything. I thought that was actually the best part, and I laughed more than I thought I would, which was a good thing. So I rated it a 3.5 out of 5, and I stand by it. That's about the highest rating I go for most kids' movies, unless I really love it. So it's better than average.
hmm Yeah, I went to a press screening of it and I had a full Minion shirt with the denim jeans on. And the press seats were taken. We got there kind of late, but the press seats had gotten taken up at that point. So we had to sit in the second row. And I didn't mind because, like, it's
It's Minions.
Minions
Yeah.
and there was a bunch of kids in the theater. And I'm like, this is not for me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I fell asleep a couple times, like at sporadic moments throughout the middle. But I thought it was fine. Like just like how the first one, I actually went back and rewatched the first one after this one, and I actually appreciated Scarlet Overkill a little bit more this time, which is Sandra Bullock's character. She's like the main villain lady, and everyone wants to work for her, and eventually the minions do. I'm sorry, I'm catching up on a little bit of the lore. Uh,
Appreciate it.
but it's actually just kind of funny because she's just like constantly pissed at the minions, and so am I. You know what I mean? Like, so I
Yeah.
she's relatable.
Yeah. They're fun movies. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not offensive in any way. They're not like overly dumb, I don't think. It's just a fun movie to turn on if you're really just have some kids around, want to entertain them for a while, or you just want to have something on while you just want to laugh at. It's good for that. I mean, the Facebook memes are a little overkill, but I think
Mhm.
they're entertaining enough.
Oh, I'll take Facebook memes over hordes of teenagers showing up like they're going to prom, that
Yeah,
handing me bananas as they come into the theater. I had ushers tell me stories about cleaning up banana peels that were thrown at the screen.
yeah, that like it was funny at first, but then when I saw him trashing the theaters and everything, it got old very, very fast. Like
Mhm.
I get it. I get what like the kids. That's what I thought it was at first. We're like, it's just the kids that grew up with it are going out to see it, and they're kind of just having fun with it. And then all that stuff started to happen, and it kind of pissed me off. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised that happened at that theater specifically.
Oh yeah, my theater especially. Well, because I mean, yeah, my Spirit Theater is supposed to be one of the bigger theaters. That's kind of the whole point of why I'm there. But um, no, I'm definitely against people making a mess. But like the whole me, I did. It was funny watching people dress up and
Hmm.
like care about them. They have bananas.
Yeah,
Like
if
I
they're
don't.
doing
That's
that and they're just
funny.
like if they're just carrying the bananas around and they're actually watching the movie and not like trashing the theater, yelling during the movie, like this is not for you. This is for the kids there, and you yelling and trying to make it about you, it kind of ruins it for everyone and gets the joke gets old very fast. So just don't be an asshole. If you wear your suit to the movie, cool. I don't know if you'll get into some theaters because they are banning people that come in suits, I guess, but to each
That's a
their
little
own. If you're,
overkill.
yeah,
My theater banned bananas. Like if you bring a banana, you have to eat it right there in front of the manager or throw it away.
that's funny.
See, have you seen those TikToks where it's like people, like a manager will go up in front of the entire theater before the movie and be like, "Hey, you guys are not allowed to, be disruptive or anything. There's families here, and you're gonna have to get kicked out without you're getting a refund. You have to pay for other people's ticket."
I did not see that, but I'm happy it's happening, I guess.
I feel like that's overkill. I feel like because I used to be a delinquent teen, and like all you had to do to really stop me is if there was like a guy that just kind of stood there for the majority of the movie, like in a uniform, that would be fine.
Yeah, some people kind of need that extra scare tactic, I guess, the person making them scared at the beginning, because really doubt they'd probably force. I don't know if they can really force anybody to pay for everybody's ticket like that. I think that is kind of just trying to scare them, but
Mhm.
yeah, I just don't be an asshole at the movie theater in general, no matter what movie you're seeing. That's my advice.
Yeah. But back to the movie though, I definitely appreciated having Gru be back because I can relate to the minions, I guess, in spurts, but I definitely helps have them contrasted with an actual human character that I
Y-
can take somewhat more seriously.
Yeah, especially because I don't know if I've ever noticed until this movie, but they mix in gibberish with Spanish a lot.
Mhm.
I've never noticed that until this movie, but it's good to actually have a voice and a speaking voice that we're more familiar with. Like, yeah, we got a bunch of new characters in that first Minions movie, I'm guessing, but it's good to have Steve Carell's voice back, and he's always a fun addition to just about any cast he's in, honestly.
I thought Alan Arkin was a standout for me as the main bad
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. I didn't even catch his name in the credits at first, but yeah, as that main bad guy, he was by far one of the best. Sorry.
No, you're good. There's some visual gags like nunchucks is funny, and then
Yeah,
the guy with the claw hand.
yeah, yeah.
I
There
have
were a lot of
nothing. I have nothing to say. I came out of it being like, it's fine. What do you want me to say?
exactly. It's a cute movie. There's nothing too much about it. My niece, as she leaves most movies at the movie theater, it's her favorite movie when she leaves. So there's that. She thought it was awesome, and that's really what matters in the end.
Yeah, it's not for me. But no, it's funny because all the other critics are like, yeah, that was like really good. Like, and I'm just like, what am I
Yeah,
doing?
it's
Did I
fine.
not get it?
It's it's the best of most of those movies in my opinion, I guess. Like I was entertained. I didn't really get bored whatsoever.
hmm
Like I said, the Kung Fu influence definitely piqued my interest in it a little bit more than
The
say
Bond
just being
opening.
yeah, the Bond opening was really cool too.
hmm I mean, I think it's better than the first Minions, but it doesn't touch the first three Despicable Me movies. They just have way too much heart for
At
me
least the
to.
first two. I didn't love Despicable Me 3, honestly.
That's one where they go to jail.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
one where they first started, especially with the minion ass. That's what I wrote in my review for this one, dude. There was a lot more minion ass in this one.
Minion ass. I
And Gru
specifically.
ass.
Oh yeah, no, there's so much ass in these movies. Hey, but you know what? At least at the end of the day, I know that I can bring my children to the Minions movie, and it's not woke. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're very non woke.
there's nobody kissing people they're not supposed to be kissing.
Yeah, wholesome, good
just
family Bible time.
just ass of a creature that we're not really sure what it is.
And then Minions cross dress. I mean, well, can you say that they're cross dressing if they're genderless? Because
Yeah,
well, are
exactly.
they genderless? Because they have male names like Kevin
Yeah, and
and Stuart.
Bob and Kevin, yeah.
Do you? So obviously that factored into it. I was talking about it with my buddy. So obviously there's a small subsection of parents who genuinely wouldn't go see Lightyear because they're like, oh, the woke, the gay kiss. I don't want my kids to be exposed to the gay. And which, by the way, it's Pride Month or it was Pride Month when it
Was
came
yeah.
out. So like, I don't know. It's just kind of ridiculous that like that actually probably had a real impact. Like there's millions and millions of dollars worth of difference because I think it was the entire Lightyear run was eclipsed by Minions in its opening weekend. And I know that it's not entirely the wokeness. Probably a lot of it is the well, you can't even say it's the over reliance on the franchise because Minions is literally the fifth movie in the franchise,
Yeah,
whereas
I
Lightyear
think
is the fifth movie in the Toy Story franchise, right?
yeah, I want to say more than anything with Lightyear. Like it might have been a little bit about the wokeness that people are kind of complaining about, but I think the confusion over what it was with the marketing, just because people were confused about if it was Tim Allen or if it was blah blah blah. Like everyone was so confused about what this movie was supposed to be, but it's like Buzz Lightyear before he was the toy and stuff like that. He was a character based on a real person and everything like that. But it just seemed like no one could really get that figured out before they even went to see the movie. And they kind of just wrote it off immediately. So I think that was his biggest feat more than anything.
Yeah, which it's funny because when Turning Red came out and they were putting that on Disney Plus, I remember saying I was like, yes, as an artist, I would love for Turning Red to be on theaters because it's diverse and it's different and new and fun, and I'd much rather see that than get spotlight than Lightyear. But like if I put on my businessman hat,
Yeah,
Lightyear makes more sense for the box office, right?
especially with it being an existing IP and everything, it just makes the most sense, especially in Disney's eyes with them making so many sequels of all of their movies for so many years. But
Mm.
it's really that whole Turning Red situation is really a bummer too, because I just now got to watch it like a few weeks ago, and that movie was so awesome. It's like one of my favorite movies of the year right now. Just
Oh
really
yeah, Turning
nice and
Red's great.
beautiful.
And Lightyear's not even like bad in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, unfortunately, I still haven't got to see that one either, but I still really want to.
Mm. Okay, well, so that's pretty much all I'd say about Minions. Three, I gave it a 3 out of 5. Like I didn't
Hmm.
want to die while I watched it, and I generally had a fine time. Like I don't remember laughing very much at all, but the music was really great.
Yeah, I'll turn it on for my niece whenever I babysit for her and stuff like that, and I'm sure we'll just have a nice time.
Mm-hmm. All right, so all right, let's get to the news. Then, what's the first news topic you would like to talk about today?
So, the first one I like to talk about, so I haven't actually seen the first Orphan movie, so you can speak more on that, but the sequel is coming out on Paramount Plus, I want to say like in August sometime. August 19th, I want actually is the date on this, and they just put out some pictures. They are de-aging the actress who was like 9 or 10 when the movie came out. She's now like I think a year younger than me. I want she's like 25, and
Mm,
they are de-aging her. The press pictures just came out. I could probably throw one up on the screen during the editing process, and
mm,
I don't think it looks too bad. I mean, you can speak on it too. I know you can see the pictures and message and everything, and I don't
mm.
think it looks. I'm. We're gonna have to see it in motion. That's gonna be the big factor, but the stills look pretty decent in my opinion. It looks better than some of the early Marvel stuff for sure. What are your thoughts?
I'm sure my general answer when it comes to de-aging is no. I don't want anything to be de-aged, and I think it usually looks bad. And especially when Star Wars does it, it's like creepy.
Yeah.
But that looks fine. I'm sure when it's moving, it's going to look a lot worse. But to speak on the movie, the first one itself, I remember my supervisor, my new supervisor, well, I'm the manager, he's the supervisor. He recommended me the movie, and I went and watched it, and I actually had a really great time with it. It's really cheesy, fun. It's came out right around the same time as Drag Me to Hell. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I love that movie so much.
Yeah, same vibe, very cheesy, fun, like let's get ridiculous horror movie. And yeah, it's a good time. I don't want a sequel to it, but I mean, if it's there, I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, I want to say it's like a prequel type situation. I'm not 100% sure. That's kind of why they're doing the whole de-aging thing. But yeah, I've always heard it was a good movie for the most part. Everyone said it's good. I'm gonna check it out pretty soon. I've looked it up where it's streaming and stuff, and the idea is
HBO
pretty
Max.
cool. Is it on HBO Max?
That's where I watched it months ago, though.
Okay. I want to say it's on something right now, but yeah, I'm gonna check it out really soon. So I'll get
Hmm.
back to you guys with that. But yeah, in my opinion, I'm excited. Like I said, I don't know anything about other than she's an orphan, and I want to say spoilers, I guess, for the movie I haven't seen. But she's not a child. She's like an older Russian lady or something like that is the whole twist of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see what they're gonna do if they're gonna talk about her before she went to this family, I'm guessing, and kind of her upbringing as this con artist, I guess.
Yeah, I
So,
watched a TikTok recently that was like, you ever see those TikToks where they're like, a man goes into a store and like they explain the plot of the movie, and
mhm,
like sometimes I get drawn into it and I'm like, wait, then just watch the damn movie or
yeah,
like watch a trailer or something. Like I get mad whenever I'm actually interested in what they're showing me, but they just started describing it. It was way too long into the process of the TikTok before I was like, oh, I've seen that movie. So I don't know. I don't want a sequel. What did you say it was called?
Orphan First Kill. So yeah, it's definitely a prequel. Am I even asking that?
Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, no thanks, but no thanks.
I'm all for horror stuffs, I guess, but I don't know how I've still never seen the first one because it came out in like 2005 or some shit. But
It does say
I'll,
Paramount Plus as well, which
yeah,
that Paramount Plus is the most desperate streaming service I feel, besides like Peacock.
yeah, they come out with a few good things every now and then, but yeah, it's by far one of the bottom tier ones for sure.
Yeah, I watch it at my leisure. I will not be very excited about it.
I'm gonna try to see it in theaters if I can, just for the experience. But yeah, we can move on.
What's it called? Let's see. What was the other thing we said we wanted to talk about? We talked about Gentle
So
Minions. That was good.
Daniel Kaluuya. I'm just going to read this. It's from the Hollywood Reporter. Daniel Kaluuya's production slate is still firming up, but one of the first projects announced was a live action film based on the iconic purple dinosaur Barney. The project is still in early development and the script is being reworked.
Wow.
He's,
All I can think about is I love you.
yeah, it's
You love me. Like a horror version of the theme.
yeah, I can definitely see people editing that for sure. So yeah, this I saw this and I wasn't really sure if this was real or not. Like I thought I saw him talk about it in an interview and I didn't know if he was joking, but I'm seeing it again, so it must have some validity. It's Hollywood Reporter tweeting about it.
Well,
So
I saw a quote that was like, "Oh, like I love you, you love me, but like, what if someone doesn't love you?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty dark, my guy." I mean, I guess that's the most dark thing. I promise you. How about this? I promise you that the Barney movie will be more dark than the Orphan First Kill movie.
I I honestly could probably take you up and say that you're probably right.
But no, I'll definitely. Oh, I'm so down. Did you ever watch the Barney and the Rainbow Magic Egg movie?
Long, long time ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
VHS.
I grew up with like that, and then like there's a Barney Christmas special, and I just remember it was like kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up with Barney.
Yeah, I grew up with all the TV shows way back in the day on PBS and everything. And
Mhm.
yeah, I my brother actually, my oldest brother, is a huge Barney guy, so I'm sure he'll be really interested in it. And especially with it being Daniel Kaluuya, that just makes it that much more interesting. And if they're gonna tackle it from whether it's about the actor playing Barney and stuff like that, I think that would be honestly really interesting. But whatever they decide to do with it, I'm interested.
Yeah, no, I will be there opening weekend, probably, unless it's rated G. But
Yeah, I doubt it.
yeah, but yeah, unless you have any other news to talk about, nothing's been in the news more this week than Thor: Love and Thunder, right?
Yep.
So let's get down to it. So, what were your thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder?
Before I even go into my own thoughts, I just gotta say, going into the weekend before Thor: Love and Thunder came out, I did not think that I would be in the minority, at least in my opinion, of liking this movie. I
Mhm.
enjoyed myself. I thought it was a Taika Waititi movie. Like, I don't know what people have had their expectations as, but this was a comedy. They straight up told you right away. I felt bumpy in the beginning, but they told you it was going to be a slapstick, goofy ass movie, and they delivered on that. I thought the effects were pretty dang good for the most part. Some of the things looked kind of goofy, like floating heads, but I don't think it was a bad movie, and it's kind of weird how the internet's turned on Taika Waititi all of a sudden because he was such a beloved guy and just a goofy, fun person, and now everyone hates him for some reason, and it's weird.
Well, you went into it having already heard the social media opinion about the movie, right?
A bit. I saw some mixed things. I saw people liking it, and I saw people like this is the worst movie ever made, and that was the one that was really confusing me.
Okay, so you're a 4 out of 5, right?
I am.
Okay, I'm also a 4 out of 5, and I feel like I'm high on the movie with my rating, especially compared to the other critics in CACF. But I definitely am in the subsection that I agree. I've turned against Taika, and I am somewhat condemning this movie, even though because here's the thing I want to establish: I have loved Thor and the Thor movies and the Thor character since I was 11 years old and I watched that first movie. So it's been over a decade now of care and devotion to this character. So when you make a movie about him with a director that I really like and the cast is really good and everything, that should be on automatic 5 out of 5 for me. Like, yes, I am the target demographic. I am such low hanging fruit. Yes, that should be something I automatically love. So anything below a 5 is a disappointment to me. And honestly, the more time that goes on, I want to bring this down to a 3. I get it; it's a comedy, but like it still can be like good. Like I don't know. I've
But
heard a lot of
what's
opinions about
bad
it.
about it? That's what I don't understand. Like, what is so bad about it?
Okay, so first of all, you talked about it being clunky in the beginning. My big problem with that, what you're talking about, is there's so much catching you up on all of the Thor lore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, they didn't really have to. Like,
Exactly.
that's what
Like
I'm that.
that's how I felt about Obi-Wan. I was like, are we in it or are we not in it?
Yeah, that's the part that I dislike the most about the movie. But I don't think it bogged it down at all.
It just
Like, I
felt
don't think the
like
Guardians needed to be in this movie at all. That is my biggest thing with it. I thought Chris Pratt and everybody, they were cool. They all felt like the characters for sure, but were they necessary?
Mhm.
No. We could have easily just said Guardians dropped them off. That's it. And I would have been just fine with that. But
Well, when I talked to people about it, I was like, "Oh, did you like the Guardian scene in the trailer?" And they'd be like, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh, so how did you feel about the Guardian sequence of the movie?" Because that's it. Like, and I'm a big Guardians
well,
guy,
and
so it was kind of disappointing.
that's where my thing is too. I'm not the guy getting disappointed about trailers anymore because I'm just not watching them. I don't need like I'm gonna see Marvel movies. I haven't watched a Marvel trailer in probably a couple of years almost now. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's helping me out a lot by enjoying these movies so much more because the people that cut the trailers are just not the best at hiding things sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm not even mad at them for spoiling because when Ragnarok came out, there's a whole like, oh, Hulk's going to be in this movie. He's going to show up and they're going to fight in the gladiator arena, right? But when you watch Ragnarok, they're like, oh, there's so much tension. Oh, who's it going to be? Mystery. Who's the mysterious challenger that's going to come out and, fight Thor? And we're like, yeah, it's Hulk. You told us like a year ago that it was Hulk. Why are you acting like this is a moment?
It
Whereas
is a moment.
Guardians, they're just at the beginning of the movie in the first 20 minutes and then they're gone. So I'm not offended by it. I'm not even saying that's a bad thing about the movie. It's just a little disappointing because I'm such a big Guardians fan that they were so underutilized.
Yeah, but at the same time, this isn't Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We get that later.
Yeah,
That's
that's
my
not my
thing.
biggest complaint at all.
And like people are complaining, like the video that came out, and people were kind of getting mad at Taika about him talking about the VFX and everything.
Hmm.
And I didn't see that as him criticizing VFX and the artists that made that at all. If people don't understand, I don't know if people got his sense of humor in that video, at least in my opinion. He was kind of goofing on himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he was literally talking about, he's like, that character doesn't feel like it's real, does it? He's talking about his own character in the movie. And I kind of feel like he was kind of like shitting on himself in that way and not like people were like, Taika shitting on people that work really hard in VFX department, blah, blah, blah. Why is he doing that to all his workers and stuff like that? I saw those tweets and I'm like, I obviously don't understand who Taika Waititi is at all because that would be the last thing that guy would ever do. Like he seems like he is genuinely the nicest person, and I don't think he's literally trying to come at the people who made his movie and he's like, they ruined everything, blah blah blah. Like that kind of criticism was kind of insane for me to see.
Well, every quote I hear from him or every video that I see in an interview or whatever just sounds like he doesn't give a shit about the movie at all, which
I
that
don't
I
buy
went
that at
into
all.
this phase thinking this is supposed to be like one of the biggest movies. Like obviously Spider-Man No Way Home, that's the climax of the big Spider-Man franchise. Thor is like one of the main classic Avengers, so that should be a big one. But this just felt like in the movie, they say it several times. Oh, another classic Thor adventure. And that's what this was. It wasn't the Thor movie. It wasn't like, oh, this really big, awesome movie. Oh, it's just another Thor adventure. It's skippable. It's passable. It's not an event. It doesn't matter. It's not, and like nothing even like huge happens for his character, even really, which at the end of this movie, I know that he's on a path with someone else now that is obviously going to go forward in the franchise. And obviously, all the stuff with Jane is very impactful to him. But if you're telling me, hey, Adam, what are the most necessary movies in phase 4 to watch? I mean, besides what's that Black Widow movie? This is like the second least necessary phase 4 movie.
Yeah, I think we just went into this looking for different things because I
Mhm.
wasn't looking for the next big Spider-Man No Way Home event movie. I was looking for a Taika Waititi funny movie, and I
Mm.
got that. Like, I don't
Well,
think
I wanted Taika's Empire Strikes Back. This is his
I don't
sequel to
need that.
Ragnarok.
That's
I
no, I
dare
don't.
you.
Yeah, I that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a funny movie. I'm looking for Thor being hilarious. We got that. The supporting cast was pretty good for the most part, in my opinion. I don't Natalie Portman, I love her. I think she's a great actress, but Jane Foster in this, when she's not the Mighty Thor, I didn't really like her that much. I thought her plot line, like the whole cancer stuff was sad, but at the same
Mm.
time, it felt like it was really pushed in there really hard.
Mhm.
Didn't feel very natural. Just to kind of bring the character back, in my opinion, and kind of round out the whole Thor trilogy, quad, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
story. And it's cool. It's cool that all those characters got to come back and we got to round out the story, but that part was one of the weaker parts for me too. Like it's not a perfect movie, and I don't think it really came out there trying to be the next big blockbuster. I don't like I love Taika Waititi. I don't think he went out there trying to shoot for the stars with this one. I still think Ragnarok is my favorite like Marvel movie period, like one of my favorites just because it has the cool action and the comedy. But I
Mhm.
digress. I just think this was a fun movie. Like I get all your points and they're very valid. Like coming out of it, I was still on a 3.5, 4, but the more I looked at it and the more I kind of thought about it, I still really like it more than dislike it. That's where I'm kind of at that 4 spot. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think it's perfect by any means. But I just don't think it's as bad as a lot of other people are trying to make it out to be.
Well, I get your point. Like, they're not trying to make this big, groundbreaking MCU tentpole. They're just trying to make, a fun, goofy comedy. And that's fine. But here's my biggest hot take. I had to go watch a press screening of Paws of Fury. And that movie has multiple jokes about how it's only 85 minutes long. And I mentioned that to say, I genuinely think I laughed more during Paws of Fury than I did during Thor Love and Thunder. This movie has more cringe than it does humor. Like the quote eat this hammer is up there with like there's a reason why they call it the cockpit from like Captain Marvel or like what are those from Black Panther of like like cringe comedy.
Yeah, I don't think that was the funniest line, but I also don't think it's
Mhm.
that bad either. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I'm just
That's
in
fine.
that kind of zone. I mean, to each their own. A sense of humor, no one has the same sense of humor. So if you're not buying into Taika Waititi's sense of humor, then yeah, you're probably not gonna like this movie. And that's the
Well,
more I
Jojo
kind of think
Rabbit's my
about it.
favorite movie of 2019. And What
I'm
We Do in the
not,
Shadows is one of the best comedies of the 2010s.
yeah, I'm not saying necessarily you, but I'm just saying in general.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. I just think I laughed at a lot more I like to laugh at silly shit.
Mm-hmm.
I like to laugh at the jokes where it's Melissa McCarthy playing Ode, and I don't care if that's not really a spoiler in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was funny, and I thought it was funny that her husband was the director of all the plays and everything. Like there were a lot of jokes in there that if you were paying attention, you got it. But and I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was even funnier too. Like there's a lot of subtle humor as well as the over the top, ridiculous, stupid shit that the unicorns yelling or the goats yelling and stuff all the time.
Oh
Like
my god, yeah, that was like
that
7 years ago. Because he says he was referencing the Taylor Swift video with the screaming goats, and I'm like, you mean from like 8 years ago? I think the general public is getting tired of Taika because we just saw his sense of well, I guess we didn't see his sense of humor because no one watched Lightyear, but he was in that making his typical cheesy. I just think he's like a Disney shill, like a Disney hired gun now, and I don't think he's an artist anymore.
I
I
think we're
think
gonna have
his
to agree to a disagree on this point.
because like I made the argument. I think that he had to do this movie so that he could get the next solo Star Wars film, not a solo movie. You know what I mean? Like
No,
Han
I
Solo,
understand.
like
Yeah,
his own Star Wars movie. I think that was the trade. They were like, oh well, everyone loves your Thor movie, and the way you do Thor now, you revitalize the character. So you got to make another one. And if you do that, then we'll give you whatever you want. We'll give you Star Wars, and then we'll even like fund your next like small little New Zealand comedy that I will like. You know,
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think it was good. To each
it's
their
no,
own.
it's good. It's fine. I feel like it's too short. I feel like it just clocks in at under 2 hours, and the climax happens like
You
because they
want it to be
go.
longer than 2 hours?
Yes,
It's
and
a
if you
comedy, dude. It's not an action movie. It's not a
is it
Marvel
is a big
big
action
blockbuster.
movie. It's
No,
a
it's
Thor
not. When was
movie.
it ever a big action movie? Whenever it was advertised as a big action movie, it was a comedy through and through. That's what I
Do
don't
you think if I looked it
understand.
up on IMDb, what the
Just like,
genre is at the top,
okay,
the action would be on one of them?
action would be on there for sure. There are action
Yeah.
set pieces, and it's a great movie. Same thing with Doctor Strange earlier. That is a horror movie, but it is still a Marvel action movie. This is a
Mm-hmm.
comedy, but it's still a Marvel action movie. They're doing more genre stuff in the MCU right now, which I personally enjoy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want the same cookie cutter big blockbuster movie over and over again. I'm just over that bullshit. I don't want Avengers 16 where we just do, hey, there's a big bad guy in the sky. Let's go beat him up real quick so he doesn't beat up the
Mm-hmm.
world and end it. I'm over it. I don't need the same story over and over again. That's why I thought this was a lot better.
Yeah, I remember the movie like was starting to end, and I was so confused that it was over so fast. And I would have taken 20 more minutes if you give those 20 minutes to Christian Bale as Gore, who is entirely shafted in this movie.
That I will give you.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Bale was by far my favorite part of the whole movie. Like the comedy was
Yes.
great, but other than the comedy, Christian Bale was amazing. I liked
Mm-hmm.
how he got to actually kind of speak more in his native accent and just get more into that. Just he wasn't necessarily a villainous evil character. Like he had his motivations. You kind of understood where he was coming from. Yes, he was killing gods, but he was also like betrayed so hard and kind of lost everything. So you kind of understood why he was so bad and evil. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was really cool to have that depth there, but it would have been nice for him to have a lot more screen time for sure.
Yeah, the opening scene was fantastic, and I thought we were in store for one of the greats in the Marvel, at least this slate. But yeah, no, he's creepy. The performance is really great, but he has no like personal beef with Thor besides the fact that he's a god, because it just doesn't seem to matter. And like he takes the kids, and Thor wants the kids because the people that he loves the kids. So we have to beat up the bad guy of the week. And like, yes, he's better than like Malekith or like the Ronan the Accuser,
Oh yeah.
these stock Marvel villains that no one cares about, because at least it's a great performance. But yeah, I just felt like it was such wasted
Well,
opportunity.
that's just Thor villains in general, unfortunately. I mean, Hela should have been a lot more of a character than she was, but literally all she did was take Asgard, and then she's just at Asgard by herself for like 90% of that movie, and then
Mhm.
they just come and destroy Asgard. That's how that movie ends. So it's just the Thor formula, unfortunately, does that to all the villains. So I don't think we can really single out Love and Thunder in that way because
Mhm.
I don't think any of the movies have strong villains, unfortunately. They kind of have promising actors in them, but
Mhm.
they don't really deliver in the same way that other people, even in the same MCU, do with their villains.
Well, two things. Number one, Loki in the first Thor movie, which I can attest to this. I just watched it a week ago. Awesome. So much
He's about the only
personality.
good part
I
in that movie.
understand. Yes, he's great. But like, and yes, he's better in the Avengers and whatnot, and he has great moments in Thor: The Dark World, but he's not really the main villain. But in the first Thor movie, he is the main villain, and he's awesome. I care about him. I care about this relationship. It's a personal beef. He's
Is
one
he
of the
the
best
main
villains in the MCU.
is he the main villain in the first movie, really?
Yeah, well, I mean, the climax battle happens between Loki and Thor. Does it not? All the frost giant stuff
Kind
happens
of.
because Loki made it happen. Who's making sure that Odin stays in his sleep and that Thor is staying on the planet and make sure that his buddies don't go help him out? It's Loki.
That movie's just kind of weak in general.
Who
I
who
was really
sends the
disappointed by
destroyer? The
it.
guy who shoots with his face. Like who
Well,
sends
yeah,
him? It's
no, no,
Loki.
no. I get it. I'm just saying, like, it's a weak movie in general. Unfortunately, I rewatched all of those, and
Mm-hmm.
that movie, like, yeah, he is the main villain, but I forgot about it already. Unfortunately, that was only last week.
Mm-hmm. Which actually that brings me to my next point, because well, you talked about like the formula of Thor, like oh, it's just like what about Thor is not does not allow him to have a good villain. I don't understand why that's just a thing that I'm supposed to accept about the character of Thor. But I just rewatched Thor and I really enjoyed it, like more than I think I ever enjoyed it. And yes, it really slows down whenever we go to Earth,
I think we
but
flip flop somehow. I used to really love that movie, and now I just don't like it as much.
well, it just feels different, and I like that it's more heavy and serious. And speaking of heavy and serious, one thing I don't like about this Love and Thunder, especially in comparison to Thor Ragnarok, is Ragnarok succeeded, yes, because they changed the tone, but they were also like, it wasn't like just the tone that they could tell people didn't like about the first two movies. It was just the first two movies in general. We've heard everyone and their mother talk about how Thor the Dark World sucks.
It
And
does.
like, sure. I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's
I
whatever, like
can't
a three out
stand
of
it.
five. But like,
No.
and I mean, I watched it recently. I enjoyed watching it. It's everything with Loki is perfect, but that's not even my argument.
That's
My
the yeah.
argument, my
Just Tom Hiddleston in general is just a perfect human being. Like I don't think
yeah,
I've seen anything that he's bad in.
yeah,
But
and
that
and
movie
the thirty
is a
percent of
bad
the
movie
movie that
around
he's
him.
in, it's perfect. So
Hmm.
are you like? I would rather rewatch that for 30% of perfect than 100% of this movie being like just generally feel good,
No.
fun.
Yeah, no, that's
Like,
silly. I
but
would
my
never
my
watch
point
Thor the
is,
Dark World over Love and Thunder. That is an insane take.
I think they're very close. I think I
No.
take Thor: Love and Thunder above Thor:
Quality
The Dark
wise,
World.
you're insane. The writing in Thor the Dark World is some of the worst writing in the MCU. That movie is
Mhm,
a mess and makes no sense in any place whatsoever. At least there's
mhm.
a through line with Love and Thunder that makes sense.
But my main argument here is we like Thor Ragnarok because it just said, hey, you didn't like the first two Thor movies? Good. Kick all that shit out. Jane's gone. She broke up with me, and all of her annoying human friends are gone too. Like when Darcy shows up in Thor Love and Thunder, I audibly groaned and like just kind of checked out. Like I like looked over at Lauren. I was like, do I have to go to the bathroom? Like I wanted to leave the theater with the
She was
moment that
only
Jar
in
Jar
one
Binks showed
scene.
up. Yeah, but I didn't know that at the time. I was just like, oh, she's back again. Like I have to deal with her in a
She barely had
non-TV
any dialogue. I
context.
was fine. Like I don't hate her, but yeah,
But
she's not the best character. Yeah, she's
I
very
didn't
cringe.
I didn't hate her in this movie. I hated Natalie Portman because she's so cringe and she just doesn't seem like she wants to be there. And it just feels like a big problem I've had with Thor in the last decade is his whole thing is he can hold the hammer and he's the only one that can hold the hammer, right? That's his shtick, right?
Yeah, but all this stuff I'm pretty sure is all comic book stuff that I'm not aware of.
No,
So I
it is.
can't
And
really
all the
speak on
cancer
any of
stuff,
it.
that all happened. But like, we go to Age of Ultron and everyone tries to lift the hammer. Captain can move it a little bit. Ooh, isn't that interesting? Because he's a good guy. What's his name? Not Ultron, but Vision can carry it because he's a pure being of whatever with an Infinity Stone. So sure, I get it. And then, oh, now Hela can hold it. Not only can she hold it, she can destroy that. So that's another person. And then now Captain America, big huge moment. Oh yeah, let's go. You've seen all those TikToks of people freaking out because Captain America can hold the hammer. So now another person can hold the
Well, it's
hammer, and
because they
I'm
all
like,
have like the inhuman power from the gemstones and everything. Like literally, Cap's power comes from that kind of stuff and everything too. Like
it just
that's
makes it
kind of
less
where it
special
all.
though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just the comic books and that's how they write it. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
you
like
can't
if
really
everyone had an
criticize it for
Iron Man
that.
suit, I would be like, oh, okay, so why does Tony Stark
A lot
matter?
of people have Iron Man suits in the comics.
I know, but like if in the Avengers, like he was like, all right, before we go fight Ultron, I made you all Iron Man suits of your own. I'd be like, oh, well,
That's kind of like why the Hulkbuster was made.
I mean, yeah, but like I don't know. The Iron Man suit, there's nothing that's like, yes, Tony made the suit. And a lot of the movies, especially Iron Man 2, is about how what if this technology gets into other people's hands? But this is like a mystical power that they were saying, hey, only this is for Thor. This is Thor's hammer, and now everyone can handle it. And I don't know. I didn't like. So we established that people like Ragnarok because we're not on Earth anymore. We're out doing a fun space adventure. It's just Thor. It's not serious Thor, like old English bullshit. Here we're actually having a fun Guardians of the Galaxy space adventure, right? And now we're still having a fun Guardians of the Galaxy space adventure, but we're bringing back all those characters. Hey, remember Jane? Like they talk about Jane and Darcy as this movie treats them as if they're like we're seeing the Millennium Falcon for the first time in The Force Awakens for like the first time in like 30 years. And I'm like, who's nostalgic about this? Who's sitting here going like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure there's an audience that did. And we
Mm-hmm.
definitely weren't that, because I agree with you. That whole
Mm-hmm.
plot line, I didn't need Natalie Portman or any of them. I
Mm-hmm.
can see why they wanted to just wrap up that story, because they basically threw it away with Ragnarok. They kind of just bring up, oh, yeah, I broke up with Jane, blah, 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 that happened. And they kind of just throw that aside. And it's kind of just a joke, haha. But then they decided, okay. And I guess that could speak to maybe Taika was talked into maybe coming back. But at the same time, I think Taika wanted to do another Thor movie and likes doing these Thor movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there was probably a little bit of, I don't know. I haven't looked to see if there's anybody else with a writing credit on the movie. Maybe someone else kind of helped him wrap all of the lore from the first couple movies, or they told him, "Hey, we need you to bring Natalie Portman back because we need you to do the Almighty Thor thing," and blah blah blah. It seems like that's probably more of what happened rather than Taika had a passion to do that and wanted to do all this different stuff in this movie. I
Mm-hmm.
can kind of see the studio playing more of a part than this just being a Taika Waititi movie. Because if it was, I think you would have a tighter script and it being a lot more comedy driven than it is with
Mm-hmm.
like more like Ragnarok. Because this one almost felt like it got bogged down with them trying to do so much. Well, with Ragnarok, you kind of just stick to one thing at a time. Where this one, you had 10 things going on at once, and you never knew what direction you were going to go in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess the problem I just have is I can see the strings, like I look at this poster even, and I'm like, okay, so we bring back Natalie Portman because everyone thinks she's hot these days. And then I don't know if you've seen like the TikToks and the sound where they're like, or someone's like, I want your mommy. He's like, oh, I want your mommy too. And it's showing Natalie Portman's son, and everyone's thirst trapping over Natalie Portman. So she's hot, great.
Oh, I haven't seen any
And
of that
then
stuff.
I'm in a weird part of TikTok, I guess. But and then women will want to see this because we have a strong female character who can rough it with the boys. Yes, she's a copy and paste of her male romantic counterpart, but sure, we still have a
Valkyrie's the better
strong.
character.
I
Valkyrie's
mean, in
awesome.
this movie, I would honestly say it's probably Natalie Portman because what does Valkyrie do in this movie?
She's just a comedic relief in the background, unfortunately. But she has some cool fighting stuff too. But I just like
Yeah,
Tessa Thompson. I mean, that's just me. I don't
I
know.
love her. I love
I
her. I
think she
wanted
was
more
really
for her.
hilarious.
Like I feel similarly about Tessa Thompson as I do to like Christian Bale, which that's another thing. They're like, ooh, we'll have Christian Bale play the villain because everyone complains about these Marvel movies having bad villains. So like we'll still give him like nothing to do, but like his scenes will let him go crazy and be really weird with it and have a lot of fun. So we don't have to spend a lot of time with the villain, but we could still have a better villain. And like I don't know. It's just so like this movie, and we have to have the intro to what happened in all the Thor movies because no one likes the Thor movies. So why would we make the younger generation go watch these new Thor movies? Because this movie is not made
All of
specifically
these
for us. It's made for
movies,
babies.
all of these movies recap each other because no one has fucking 20 hours to fucking rewatch all of these movies. You have to
Yes.
do that. There's
But
no
you have to
option.
let the children in the audience know because the humor is directed for the children.
Well, yeah, and the children haven't been alive since the MCU started. Like they were born
Yes.
probably when it began, so we haven't been able to rewatch all of these movies. That's
Yes.
like you have to kind of have to let some of that go, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's just a fun movie. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to use the excuse of, oh, you have to shut your brain off, because I disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you don't need to do that to enjoy a piece of art. People can enjoy what they enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's just a comedy that's a bit messy, and it's trying to, I think it's a lot of MCU meddling. If I wouldn't be too surprised if that's the case anyway, just because of
Well, because you're talking
all the
about the
stuff.
the quote that we saw, right? Where it's like, oh, it's just a comedy. It's not supposed to be good. I'm like, yes, a comedy
No,
could
yeah.
still be good, and
No,
also
they're
a comedy could still be funny. I guess I honestly, I'm definitely like I gave it a 4 because I want to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure that after I get over the, initial reaction of like, oh, I'm so disappointed by that, I'll watch it for what it is and just appreciate it for what it is. But I'm definitely disappointed. Definitely think it was a waste to have Christian Bale play the villain and then not utilize him. I think I'm tired of Thor and Thor movies. I do not care to go anywhere that we're going when this movie ends, like the direction that we're going with the character. Don't want to see it. I don't care about Natalie Portman and the rest of them. And I'm honestly, I feel like Taika, like, yes, it just sounds like he doesn't care about anything that he's doing. Maybe he might be funny, trying to be funny, but I'm just oversaturated to him. And because some people hate Jojo Rabbit for some reason, and I'm like confused by that. But now I kind of get it because people were complaining to me about Taika and Free Guy as the villain, and they're like, "Oh, he's so cringe. It's 13-year-old boy Fortnite humor." And I feel
That
like
whole
now I
movie
get
was
it.
13-year-old boy Fortnite humor. That's the whole point of Free Guy. That was
But
the
that's what
audience of Free
Taika is
Guy.
now. Taika, like this
No, it's
movie is
not.
for 13-year-old boys. I feel like
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
I
That
I
is
just
just 13-year-old boys love Guns N' Roses. 13-year-old boys love
oh, you got
jokes
to get
about
the
Melissa
nostalgia for the
McCarthy.
parents to come in.
It's
All right,
for the
I'll
audiences from the first movie. They use classic rock. They use Led Zeppelin all over in
mhm,
Ragnarok and everything. Like, I
mhm,
don't. It's just Taika Waititi's stuff. That's what he does in his movies. He uses the classic rock in Jojo Rabbit, even at the end with
mhm.
David Bowie and everything.
Yes.
Like, it's just Joe. It's just Taika doing his stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't
All right.
think
Well,
Taika Waititi is as bad as where you're trying to go with it. I don't think he's cringe. That like using Free Guy, that movie is cringe in general. The whole
mhm.
movie is
And
just a
I love Free
cringe
Guy.
comedy. Yeah, I don't love Free Guy. Free Guy's fine. Free Guy's not a comedy of the year by any means. Like this movie was
So
way
good.
funnier than Free Guy.
At least Free Guy's like an original blockbuster instead of the fourth
Original
Thor
blockbuster?
movie. Yes, it's not
Original
based on
blockbuster?
anything,
It has Captain America and Thor. It has all that kind of stuff in it. And
but that's what Fortnite culture is. They
it's
had
just
new
Grand Theft
skins every
Auto.
few months. You know,
Yeah, and
the
Fortnite
main
sucks.
portion of the story is not like, hey, it's based off this franchise, or we're gonna sit here
That is
and
Fortnite
member
the movie,
berries.
basically.
No, I like it because I think it's a generally cool and interesting new concept. I like how Ryan Reynolds is still kind of Ryan Reynolds, but like he's this like innocent version of like this almost
I feel like you
childlike
can use
version
these
of Ryan
same
Reynolds.
arguments for Thor Love and Thunder in my same arguments and fit them the exact
Yes.
same way.
Yes.
That's exactly what I'm saying with my argument. Comedy
Mm-hmm.
is subjective. You like that movie
Mm-hmm.
because it works for you for those jokes. I like
Mm-hmm.
this movie because the sense of humor I think
Well,
just
I feel
lands
like
with
we
me.
should be critical of the big Marvel machine, the big $200 million
I
guarantee
am.
lock it in
I
successful
dislike
blockbuster.
the first Marvel's Avengers movie is one of the worst Marvel movies of all time. I will say that and I will stand on that hill. That movie
Wait.
is filmed
The
horribly. Joss
Avengers?
Whedon, The Avengers.
You think that's
That movie
awful?
is a awful movie.
I think that's
It
the best
is
MCU movie. I'm not joking. I have my MCU
no.
ranking. It's my number one.
It is one of the worst ones for me.
And I think it belongs, you know,
It's
they those
filmed
greatest summer blockbusters of all time, like every Spielberg movie ever, and like Matrix and Back to the Future. Like I think it just belongs in
oh
that
yeah.
conversation.
It belongs in the trash can with Avatar.
Wow. Yeah,
I do
no,
not
definitely disagree with that one. That was such a perfect
No,
blockbuster.
it's filmed like a TV show, like Agents of Shield. If you look at the cinematography, the exact same.
Mhm.
The editing is really rough. The effects look like really, really bad. Have aged
Wow.
horribly.
I mean,
The
I'm not going to sit
Blu-ray
here
is
and
really
argue for the
rough too.
cinematography. The only thing I'll say about the cinematography is the 360 shots iconic.
Yeah, that one shot it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
The
That one shot is
effects,
better than anything in this. No, you said that you didn't mind the effects in this Thor movie. I didn't mind them. I didn't have a huge problem, but there's nothing impressive here or
there's
noteworthy
nothing
in any way,
bad
shape, or
either though.
form.
There's nothing that's like the worst thing I've ever seen. There are a lot worse in the MCU that
Oh, with
especially
people
when that
complaining
first
about the
Avengers movie
kid,
is.
the little black kid's
Yeah,
face.
why it's supposed to be like that. Like I don't understand it. You want it to be crystal clear. It's a video call from another planet,
Uh,
like in Magic World.
I mean, I'm not. That's not my flagship argument for why I don't. How about
It's
this?
just
Here's
people
things I
being
liked
weird.
about the movie. I like the rom com angle, but not the like Thor and Natalie Portman. I like the whole like Thor and Stormbreaker, and then Thor and the Hammer. Like that's a
Oh yeah,
funny little play on the whole rom com. Because if you actually, that's the thing. You say like, oh well, they're different genres of MCU movies. This is a heist movie. This is a this movie. This is a that movie. This is not a comedy. It's a rom com, like
it's
through
still a
and through.
comedy.
but specifically,
You're
like the
making it a
comedy
subgenre in
is
comedy,
the
yes.
main joke of the movie. The main comedy of the movie is centered around the romance. It's a rom com. It belongs. I have all my rom coms right up here. It belongs right up
Well,
on that
and that's
shelf.
the great thing about it. It is a rom-com. It's not just a comedy because Ant-Man kind of covers the comedy. They cover the heist comedy. And we get all that different stuff. And that's what I like about all
Mhm.
these different MCU movies where we're not just like we were talking about earlier. The Thor movies, a lot of them are just, hey, there's that bad guy that doesn't really do anything. We got to beat him before 2 hours runs out and shit
Mhm.
like that. This one still has that a little bit, but we kind of vary around and we play around, and it's not just a straight, we got to fight this guy, we got to use all our powers, blah, 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 and then it's done. And we got to introduce 50 different characters to set
Mhm.
up for 50 different sequels that we're going to see in the next 10 years.
So
This
so is
this
this
feels like a
better
movie that
than?
didn't have to set up everything and just was Thor.
Do you like Multiverse of Madness like
I
more than
do.
this?
Yes, I do like it more than this. It's a better movie
Okay,
for sure.
I agree, and I feel like I'm pretty low on No Way Home, but I think No Way Home is definitely significantly better than this.
Yeah, it's a better MCU movie. Is it a better overall movie? It's about the same.
Okay, what about Eternals?
Eternals is one of the worst of the MCU that's come out this year, other than Black Widow. Did Black Widow
Okay,
come out
I
this year
don't
or
like
last
Black
year?
Widow, but I like Eternals. I will defend
I liked
Eternals.
Eternals. I didn't think Eternals was fantastic, but I also really liked it.
Hmm.
They're all like four movies. They're all like 4-star movies for me for the most part.
Hmm. Okay, then Shang-Chi's the last one. Is Shang-Chi better than this?
Yes, Shang-Chi's one of my favorites. I know you kind of talked down on it a little bit, but
Hmm.
I'm a big martial arts movie kind of guy, kung fu stuff. So that's why that movie kind of wins me over. The action's just filmed really, really well. But the story, yes, it's just like Iron Man, Iron Man 2, all that kind of stuff, where
Hmm.
it's just here's the big bad guy at the end, family drama stuff. Yeah, the
You
story is
know
not the
what?
most original.
I'd probably take Thor: Love and Thunder over Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I don't think so. This
Hmm.
comparing them, especially with action wise, there's night and day difference, especially with
Yeah,
how it's filmed and everything too.
completely agree.
And I think Shang-Chi's a fun movie too. In my like, it's more fun for me,
Hmm.
subjectiveness.
Hmm.
But
Yes,
yeah,
but that's I think no, I definitely get where you're coming from. You were able to just watch this and just enjoy it for what it is, and I'm sure I'll get there. I will get there one
yeah,
day, but
I wasn't going in there expecting No Way Home because we already have that. That's not what I go into a lot of these movies. Like I temper my expectations going into a lot of this stuff.
mhm,
Like especially with a solo Thor movie. I love like Thor Ragnarok is my favorite movie. So I should have had huge expectations, but I
mhm,
didn't because I didn't like even going into it, I wasn't expecting the next big Ragnarok because I already had Ragnarok. I just wanted
mhm,
something that was going to be fun, and I had a lot of fun watching it.
mhm. I'm just disappointed because one of my favorite directors with one of the best superhero castings of all time performances, Chris Hemsworth, and one of the best actors working today is playing the villain, and one of my favorite franchises, and the Guardians were even in it, and the fact that I left it feeling like meh is disappointing. I still give it a 4 out of 5. I'm sure I'll enjoy it more later. I recommend people watching it, especially little children. And no,
Maybe
and
not too young because some of the gore god killing is a little dark in my opinion. So don't take your young children to go see this movie.
sure, and I think the women will enjoy this more than your average Marvel movie. It's a rom com through and through, and
Well, and you get Hemsworth ass, so I mean,
yeah,
everyone loves that. Men, women, not children.
they like minion ass,
Minion ass. That's the minion ass is for the children. You can quote me on that.
but everyone loves our ass Adam Steve show. And those are our new movies that we talked about. Unless do you have any more final thoughts to say about Thor?
No, I want to talk about Mr. Malcolm's List. That's the last movie I went and saw in theaters.
Did you really?
Yes, I went and saw it a couple days ago.
Wow, I did not see your rating of that. Okay, sell me on it. Should I watch it or should I not? Like, yeah, this is
Um,
I know nothing. Is it Bridgerton?
it's basic. I don't know a whole lot about Bridgerton, but
Mm-hmm.
it's basically that same kind of style. It's like the 1900s, maybe even 1800s, whatever it is. I'm not sure. but it's
Hmm.
like the old style English kind of stuff. And I think it's based off of a book, I guess, but it was had its last showtime on Wednesday, so I ran out to go see it. It's
Hmm.
fun. It's fine. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Should I see it? Would I like it?
I think you'd probably enjoy it. I don't think it's anything special by any means. It's a
Hmm.
good cast. It's literally so the story is this sorry, excuse me. This Mr. Malcolm guy, he wants to find a wife and he's
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
no,
been
yeah, and then there's a girl, and then they pretend they're like, oh, move here and be everything on his list, but like
well
that
yeah, so
qualifies for a woman,
yeah,
and but you reject him.
he has this reputation about him where he's kind of like a womanizer and he's not sure what he wants. And he dates all these women, and I guess he has this list, and you have to meet all these expectations if you want to be his wife. So this girl kind of gets dissed by him because he tries to talk to her about a few things, and she kind of shows that she's not as intelligent as he thought she was. So
Hmm.
he kind of just wrote her off and kind of tried to find a new lady. So she got mad because the whole public found out about it and like drew a cartoon about her or something. So she wanted her redemption. So she got her friend from out of town to come and basically try to trick him. And you can kind of guess where the story goes, I'm guessing, and it goes exactly in that direction.
Mm.
It's a very by the numbers rom-com, but it's set in that time period. There's a couple good actors that I'm trying to remember who exactly.
There were people at my theater dressed up. That's like an old timey clothes,
So
garments, if you will.
Theo James.
Yeah, I know
I don't
him.
know if he's like I recognize him from the Underworld movies. He was in the last couple of those, and I guess he was in the Insurgent Divergent
Yeah, I was about to say he was
movies.
in Divergent. I
I
remember
only
that.
saw the first one of those, and I barely remember it, but he
Same.
was really good in it. The guy that was in, I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah, he was in the Haunting of Hill House. Did you ever watch that?
I did not, but I like the director.
Well, Oliver Jackson Cohen, this guy, he was been in like Mike Flanagan stuff a little bit,
I
but he
recognize the
was in
face a little
it,
bit.
and he was good.
Hmm.
But those are pretty much the most recognizable people in it. And Mr.
Hmm.
Malcolm was actually played by an African American actor. I don't remember his name, but it was all just really good. It was just a heartfelt, nice story. There was
Hmm.
nothing special about it. It was pretty much just a British romantic comedy that I'm guessing is exactly like the book. I
Hmm.
didn't get bored, but I was happy when it was over.
Hmm.
Three out of
Good.
five.
Better than
If
Minions?
no, I think I enjoyed Minions just a little bit more just because it was more goofy and had a lot more going on, where this one's
Mhm.
kind of just I knew exactly where it was going, exactly when it was going there. So I was kind
Mhm.
of just along for the ride more than anything.
Mhm. All right, well, I might check it out. I ended up watching. I don't know if you ever got to the Bo Burnham outtakes from Inside.
I watched the first half hour or so. I haven't finished it yet.
It's good, and like it's not great or anything. Like there's some good stuff there, but like I haven't gone to the album and downloaded any of those songs.
Yeah, no, it's not on the same level as Inside, where I literally have the vinyl sitting in my Amazon cart thinking about it every day.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because the best part about it is they do these like YouTube ads and stuff, or like the male comedic podcasters,
The Joe
or
Rogan thing, yeah,
the
that
more
one
the
made me
bits
laugh.
are funny,
Yeah.
but there is a lot of just like dicking around with him, and put it on in the background or whatever. Like it's perfectly fine for that.
If you're a fan of Bo, you'll pretty much enjoy it, but
Yeah, I know.
there's
I had a good
nothing,
time. I had a
yeah,
good time.
exactly. There's nothing too deep in there that you're gonna need to go see it right away type of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's like I waited to watch it, and I think that's fine. Do you have anything from the past 2 weeks that you saw before I talk to you about some of these new releases? Because you haven't seen Crawdads or Paws of Fury, right?
Nope, not yet. I think I'm gonna see Crawdads with my mom sometime this week.
All right,
But
well, I'll try to sell you on those before after you talk about what you watched this month.
one movie I'd really just love to talk about for a minute is I've been going back and trying to watch all the best pictures. I don't know if you ever finished doing that.
Mine are all right up here. I'm at like 55, and I have a ranking going.
Nice. So I actually just got to the year 1967 and I watched, well, 1968 or whatever is when the Oscars were, but In the Heat of the Night.
Oh yes, that's is that Sydney Poitier?
It is.
Okay, yeah,
Have you watched it yet?
I have not. That's definitely on my list though.
I did not know what to expect going in. I know Sydney passed away earlier this year, and I've heard it was a good movie. It is by far one of my favorite best pictures that like I've seen throughout this whole process.
Hmm.
It is so good. The story just got me right away. I don't want to say too much to you because I'd rather you just, if you don't know too much, I'd rather you just go in as blind as
No,
possible.
I
But
will watch it because obviously I'm going to see all the best picture winners, so I'll get to it.
fantastic performances all around. Really
Hmm.
good, like editing and the tension in there of just the main story is this guy is arrested in this town and then they find out that he's a cop and then they realize that he can help them. Well, there's a murder right away at the beginning of the movie and it's in this little small southern town and it's a bunch of like racist, terrible ass people.
Hmm.
And Sidney Poitier is in the town waiting for a train to get there and people just think he's suspicious because there's a murder that just happened and they arrest him and then they figure out he's a cop and they hire him to help them and it just
Hmm.
unfolds from there and it's some pretty crazy stuff and for being especially a movie from the 60s I didn't expect to be as drawn in as I was, but I gave it a 5 out of 5. I gave it a like heart on my letterbox. I honestly can't wait to rewatch it, which I didn't think I would say for a movie, especially being as old as it is. Like usually I'm not as into movies from the 60s, especially like thinking I'm going to rewatch them again. Like usually I enjoy them for what they are. And I can see from the time period that they came out, I can see through certain things, but this movie is just aged like a fine wine. I
Hmm.
can't wait to rewatch it. And like I said, Sidney Poitier, I want to watch more of his acting because he was just hands down the best actor in this movie. And I don't know literally anything else he's been in. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, see it as soon as you can, dude. I
Hmm.
really recommend it.
No, I definitely will. That's definitely one that I have circled on my best picture list. I actually haven't watched the best picture one. I've seen every one since Out of Africa. I've not seen Out of Africa. That's next one chronologically I have to watch.
I haven't seen that one either. I bought, that's the thing that made me so upset actually not too long ago. I'll go on a little tangent for just for a second. I bought a thing at Disc Traders, which is like a resale shop, but they had Casablanca and African Queen in it. And but they didn't give me African Queen and they didn't have it. So all I got was Casablanca and I'm still sad about it.
Love Casablanca, one of my all-time favorites.
But yeah, I haven't seen Out of Africa or African Queen, unfortunately, just because now I have a box that has African Queen on it, but nothing in it.
Mm-hmm. Um, well, before we, because we got like 5 minutes left here, I'll try to sell you on crawdads. I was excited about this because I have friends who are Swifties, and I know it's based off a very popular book, and it looked generally interesting, like Gone Girl for teenage girls, like a Twilight meets Gone Girl. Is kind of the vibe that they go for.
So the only thing I do know about this is that my mom has read the book and
Mm,
that Taylor Swift has a new song in it. Those are the two things I know about
yeah.
this movie.
No, I think you would really enjoy it, especially if you want go watch with your mom, honestly, because I was able to talk to my friend about the movie and she had filled me in on some of the gaps that were left out of the movie, and that was very interesting. I had a very full experience. I the ending was like I couldn't contain myself. I was laughing so hard. It was awesome. And yeah, no, it's definitely like your typical like love triangle, like female like romantic fantasy, whatever. So it's not for me, honestly, but like I still really enjoyed it. I'm popular today. I'm really popular. There's like the third phone call I've
So it's
gotten.
like there's like a murder that happens in it too, from what I gather, or something. Like somebody
Yes. So
dies.
so basic plot summary. Someone dies that was connected to this girl. She's the
Hmm.
marsh girl. She lives in the marsh and everyone doesn't like her because she's different. And it's during the civil rights era. So it's reasonable that, they would hate people for such small differences. But yeah, so she is going to court to trying to clear her name, but the majority of the movie is us telling the like story of this woman's life. So it's not as much about the courtroom as it is about like, so I was a young girl and I lived with my dad and then I grew up and started selling mussels and whatever, like so.
So the least interesting part of that story.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Because the most interesting thing that happens in this movie does not happen on screen, and it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's a good time, good enough time. Don't leave during the credits because that's the Taylor Swift song, and everyone got up, and I was like, guys, This is why we're here.
Nice.
But I left my Letterboxd review. It was like, I still have no idea what a crawdad is, and people like started to explain it to me, and I'm like, no, it's a joke. Like as if a guy would walk out being like, I want my money back.
There's no crawdads. 2 stars.
no, no crawdads. Yeah, it's
So
very good. It's definitely better than Paws of Fury, which I also gave to 3 out of 5. Which
that's
are
what I
you a
was gonna
big Mel
ask.
Brooks guy?
I like him. I'm like I like him quite a bit. I don't really necessarily say I love him, but
Which of his movies have you seen?
Blazing Saddles,
Then watch
Young
this.
Frankenstein, all of them. That's
You
I've
said
heard
what?
Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, so it's basically a remake of Blazing Saddles. It was called Blazing Samurai. It was supposed to come out in 2017. It's a Weinstein. It's like one of the last Weinstein movies. So that's why I was pushed back so long. Also, it looks ugly, but it's got a
That's
really like fun sense of humor, and it's short and easy and
when I
generally
saw
likable.
when I saw the cardboard cutout in my movie theater, I legit was like, why are they putting up like a TV, like straight to DVD movie
Yeah.
cutout in the movie theater? And I was like, oh shit, they're really playing this here. It looks
Hmm.
like so one of the last
Rock
movies I
Dog.
remember, yeah, that and what is it, Arctic Dog 2 that came out like a couple years ago with Jeremy
Yeah.
Renner or something? It looks like that kind of animation.
Yeah. It is. No, it
Yeah.
is. I'm not. And like, whenever I talked about this movie to people, they're like, "Oh, then I guess I should see it." I'm like, "No, by no means am I recommending this movie. I'm just saying it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, and it was a general good time." It's about racism, by the way. Like the whole movie is about racism. Like there's several like lines that are very on the nose, and it was funny. It was kind of funny, but no, it's really good. It was a good point. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be
Well,
racist, but
that's I want to compare it to Blazing Saddles now because I do own that
yeah,
movie too, so I can rewatch it and kind of see the similarities. So that might be where
mhm,
my video will go.
yeah. Well, but that's pretty much all I have. Do you have anything else? Because we have 90 seconds.
I don't think so, other than just go visit my YouTube channel if you'd like, and visit
Mhm.
Adam's as well. We have new
Yes.
videos all the time, and I'm gonna have some this weekend probably as I go see some of these new releases. And yeah, go follow us on those channels as well as
Mhm.
subscribe to this channel. Follow our podcast on Spotify or
Mhm.
anywhere else it's at. I can't remember. iTunes, that's where it's at too. And
Mhm.
anywhere else you find it. And yeah, anything you'd like to add?
I'm editing my Thor review still. I'm editing my top 10 movies of last year list, and I'll be seeing Nope on Tuesday, and I will hopefully have my video out by Thursday. So,
Beautiful. Can't wait to see that too. And can't wait to hear your thoughts on that movie. And that's it for Ask today, everybody. Be sure to do all that cool stuff. Like, comment your thoughts on anything we've talked about today, and we will see you next time.